Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us virtually in this Women in Engineering panel for the REYES program. My name is Karina Arcaute. I'm the Director of First Year Engineering Programs at Old Dominion University. And I want to welcome you to this panel. For the next 50 minutes, we're going to have a chance to hear the stories and journeys through engineering from 4 wonderful women engineers who are here today. This panel will be in a conversation style, and the goal for the conversation is to hear from the panelists' experiences while they were pursuing their engineering studies, and their advice for future female engineering students or anyone who is interested in pursuing an engineering degree. We want to answer the questions that you may have, so please use the chat to ask questions for the panelists. For the format of the panel, I will start with an opening about the history and the current state of women in engineering. We will move on to the introduction of the panelists and some questions to start the conversation. Then we will have a section for questions from the audience, so make sure to type your questions in the chat box. I want to open this panel by saying that the history of women in engineering is often told in conjunction with the history of women in sciences. And most female scientists have done amazing engineering work. And as faculty members, they have influenced the growth of women in engineering. Some people will argue that even today, women engineers are more atypical than women scientists. We can all name a female scientist. Most likely, that person will be Marie Curie, but we will struggle to name a female engineer. The timeline of women in engineering is very complex. There are letters from 1920 from institutions in the US that did not allow women to enter engineering schools. Some institutions did accept female students, but since women engineers were not allowed in professional societies, they tried to create their own professional societies by reaching out to other institutions. And the response were rejection letters reading, "We do not permit women to register in the engineering school under present regulations." In the historic context, these letters were written just after the ending of World War I, and when women won the right to vote in the US. Numbers of women in engineering show that in 1950, only 1% of engineering students were female. As for the number of women graduating with an engineering degree, in 1966, only 0.4% of engineering graduates were female. Unfortunately, that number has been increasing to 3.4 in 1976, 14.5 in 1986, and in the last 20 years, the number has remained around 20%. In specific, at Old Dominion University, 17% of our students are female. Although these numbers look good, it does not reflect the numbers in the general population, and there's still room for improvement. Why not have 50% of our students being female? We can change these numbers and perceptions. For you as a female who may be considering engineering, you can change those numbers. Today, women are welcome and encouraged to pursue engineering. And also there's a support system for you that has many pillars. One of them is in the form of female engineering faculty, and we are going to hear from them. So let's start this panel. Please ask the questions in the chat box, and I'm gonna ask the panelists to self-introduce themselves. Would you please introduce yourself, your name, what is your role at ODU, and tell us when and how you wanted to be an engineer. How did you decide to pursue an education in engineering? I don't know who wants to take it. Maybe Amy.
Hello, my name is Amy Katz. I am a lecturer of civil engineering technology here at ODU, and I've had this position for about 8 years now. So I really enjoy teaching, but before teaching, I was a structural engineer, which is a type of civil engineer. So mostly I designed beams and columns and foundations for different types of buildings, and also did some work on bridges. So that's a little bit about what my background is. And I first started to consider engineering when I was a senior in high school. I'd always been interested in science and math, but I'd never considered it until one of my math teachers mentioned it to me. I actually had already applied to colleges with a intended major of psychology. So I was thinking something science related would be a good fit for me, but then once he encouraged me to look into it more, I realized that I was interested in engineering, and then I kind of narrowed it down into which type of engineering. Does that answer all your questions, Karina?
Yes, so maybe we can move on to Dr. Jovanovic.
Hi, my name is Dr. Vukica Jovanovic. I work as associate professor and Batten Fellow in Mechanical Engineering Technology program here in Batten College of Engineering. And if before I started going to my graduate programs and continuing my academic career, I worked in aerospace industry in Spain, in Vitoria, and there we were making Brazilian Embraer airplane wings and nacelles. And there I worked as industrial engineering. So I was working with people who are building parts of aircrafts and making sure that their assembly process is doing okay. And my first contact with engineering was actually when I was 3 years old. My daddy founded a manufacturing facility. So from 1978, he was working as in manufacturing. He was making machines. So I grew up with looking at what they're doing and basically around manufacturing facility. And I'm from a family of engineers. So in my family, it was very accepted to be an engineer. And most of us are engineers. We only have one historian and one chemist. And I actually have 2 aunts that have PhD in engineering as well, and they work as professors. And here, just in US, I have from my family, 3 of us who are PhDs in engineering or sciences. So for me, that was something that my family was highly acknowledging as a career. And I was very good in drawing, and I was very good in sports, and I was very good in math. So math was my favorite subject academically. So when I was 8th grade, I had some kind of extracurricular activity I signed up for, and that was electrical circuits. That was taught to me by an engineer, a female engineer. And then I really started seeing application of math in real application. And then I went to high school, which was pre-engineering high school for electricians. And that, so I decided at age of 15, after that high school, I could not really go to liberal arts. So later I chose mechanical engineering, and then I graduated with a degree in robotics, mechatronics, automation under industrial engineering. And I just want to mention 2 of my sisters are engineers as well. So in my family, there are 3 engineers, and they're all female.
Cool, thanks. Otilia, Dr. Popescu, can you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Karina. So I would like to say hello to everybody and welcome to this panel. And we hope we'll see as many as possible from you in engineering later on. So my name is Otilia Popescu, and my field is electrical engineering. So I'm currently teaching as faculty in electrical engineering technology. And I also serve as program director there. So in that position, I will be so happy to take any one of you and introduce you to our program and help you to join our program. So in terms of my background with electrical engineering, this is a very wide area, and a lot of things can be basically put under the umbrella of electrical engineering. So within that, my field is specifically with communication systems. So this is what are related with phones, with all the communications, right? So I didn't start it like that. So when I was in high school, I knew that I wanted something more like engineering or maybe architecture. So that was one of my very strong interests. At that time, I was very attracted to robotics, to computers, but to buildings also. In the end, I think the robotics took over and I chose engineering instead of architecture. Keep in mind that, well, I'm not that young anymore. So when I started, computers were pretty big. So I joined a computer engineering degree when I started in college. But at that time, it was a computer as big as a room. By the time I graduated from college, now we had PCs. So, well, that was a very fast time, though. It was within 4 years. So it was not that much. But in any case, that is my field, right? So that's the way I ended up in electrical engineering because of this interest that I had in computers and robotics. So then with that, you start electrical engineering, but as I move with my education, I narrowed that down, right? So when I got to the PhD level, I said that my interest is in fact in communication, which is a part of, it's part of that robotics, large robotics area. So you see, you start within a major, but when you go up with the education, you might narrow that down on a specific path based on what you learn and what you like as you progress on your education. So I don't know, did I answer everything?
Yes. Carol, will you introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Carol Considine. I'm the Assistant Dean for Outreach and Diversity in the Baton College of Engineering and Technology, and I'm an Associate Professor in the Engineering Technology Department. I love that Karina gave us the background of women in engineering, and I think it's really important for us to think about diversity and engineering and the role that diversity can play in problem solving. A recent study by the University of Michigan stated that a diverse group of problem solvers is more likely to outperform a team of the best and brightest solvers. So women in engineering are needed as we face some of the grand challenges that we have in the world today, including climate change, energy sustainability, human health, security, carbon sequestration, and clean water. So I really encourage you to join the engineering profession and be that robust problem solver. There have been other studies that have provided the same type of output. In regards to me, I'm an engineer because my father was an engineer. When I was a junior in high school, I was applying to colleges, but really didn't have any idea what my major would be and really hadn't even thought about it. And my father said to me, "You have strong science and math skills. You should be an engineer. You'll always be able to support yourself. There's lots of opportunities for women." And so that pretty much sealed the deal for me. And I went ahead and applied to engineering schools. And I'm glad that I did. I think one of the things that you should consider when you look at engineering as a career is, I think that engineering opens doors to many other opportunities. So I'm a civil engineer, but I could do sales work, I can do management work. I have many different opportunities within engineering. And even in my own career, I worked in industry, in the construction industry for 15 years. I always had a passion for education. And so then I decided to come teach engineering at a university. As I taught engineering at a university, I also looked at other opportunities to increase research and thought about sustainability as it relates to construction, which led me to think about climate change and the area that I live in, which is very susceptible to climate change. And I think that's the way engineering is. It helps you be a problem solver, and it opens doors to many different types of career paths. The other thing is that, you know, when I think about engineering and how we support engineering at Old Dominion University, I just want to highlight some of the programs that we have. We have an Early Engineering Advantage program for women, which is usually a campus program, but this year because of COVID, it's an online program where women learn about careers in engineering. They learn about what it is to live on campus, where is everything located on campus, and they actually create a peer group for themselves before they come to campus. We also have a Women in Engineering program that introduces women leading female engineers or female managers from engineering in industry to our students, and they talk about their careers, how they were successful, and how our students can also become engineering leaders. We have several organizations that support women. We have the Society of Women Engineers, as well as Phi Sigma Rho. And then we also provide opportunities for our female students and our minority students to mentor young women who are interested in engineering through a program we have with the Girl Scouts, a Girl Scout Badge Day, as well as a Girls Night Out program that we celebrate in support of Engineers Week. So I just wanted to say how happy I am to be here, and please consider some of the programs that we have in engineering at ODU to support women. Thanks, Karina.
Thanks, Carol. I collaborate with Carol in some of these programs, and I'm happy that you started talking about them because one of the questions in the chat is for Dr. Jovanovic, if you can also mention some programs at ODU that you're involved. They're asking specific about programs in middle and high school, like BLAST. So I don't know if you can tell a little bit about that program.
Sure. So since I'm coming from Serbia, and there we had technical education starting from the grade 5. So grade 5, 6, 7, 8, we will have some kind of introduction to technical studies. We will learn the basics of engineering drawing. We will learn some technical skills, how to work with calipers and these kinds of things. And since I went to that high school, that really was like going towards engineering track. I've seen the system that you should start talking about engineering as early as even 5th grade. So here at ODU, we have a bunch of different projects, and we have different faculty who are working with different levels of students. We have faculty from our same department that are working with elementary kids, and I collaborate, me and Dr. Popescu, Tilia, we work with high school students here in local Norfolk Public Schools, and we're helping them having a career and technical education programming that will prepare them more for engineering studies. And so students can go to associate level. Here in the US, we have 2 different levels. We have, you can choose university, you can go and directly become an engineer with 4-year long bachelor program, or you can pick to be associate of applied sciences or associate of sciences in engineering and do 2-year community college, which many of the students do. So I do collaborate with programs that are in high schools, and I'm trying to encourage more kids to consider engineering, because sometimes it's really hard to fund your studies because they're very expensive. So what many people choose to do, they start working on apprenticeships. Like I was 15 years old when I first went to electrical power plant. We were working with generators. We were learning how to fix them and how the electricity works in high power voltage systems, and we were doing maintenance. So I've seen it that being exposed to industrial environment early, and you can see what's going on there, it's very important for that mindset that you would pick something like that as your future career. So we're trying to take these high school kids to local industries and show them manufacturing facilities so they're not scared of them, so they see that they're very nice and high paying jobs, and to kind of battle that perception that manufacturing is dirty and something is going to go away and something like that, and so they can be interested in these specific careers. And at the same time, we organize here summer programs. We run ODU Blast, which is funded by Virginia Space Grant Consortium, where we have 80 students coming on campus. We have 40 female and 40 male students, and faculty from College of Engineering and College of Sciences do different intensive activities. So students sleep on the dorms and they get exposed to different majors, and we have various camps. That this is just one of them, but it's very nice for high school students. It's for free. They come to our campus, they experience the vibe, they meet faculty, they see where students go to eat, they see where they sleep, you know, so they're kind of experience what is it to be a student.
Is there an application process for BLAST? I don't know if people would like to know more details.
Yeah, you go to Virginia Space Grant Consortium, and if you find ODU Blast section, ODU Blast is run by Virginia Space Consortium, and it's at Old Dominion University, University of Virginia, and Virginia Tech. And usually we have 4 sessions, so we rotate which university has 2 sessions. We hosted 2 sessions in 2017 here at ODU. So each application starts somewhere in November, and it's C and higher, and it's open to all students from Commonwealth of Virginia because it's funded by Commonwealth of Virginia State Assembly. So they're trying to increase the number of students that go to STEM careers. And we have other camps also available at ODU that are dealing in. And you will see many of the participants in this REYES programs are actually faculty who would you meet if you come to join one of these programs.
Thanks. So there's another question that maybe a couple of you can answer. The question is, how was your undergraduate experience as an engineer? Was it difficult to communicate with men? Have you ever felt pressure or inadequate due to this at your college or university? I don't know who would like to take that one. I'm gonna pick Amy or Carol. I don't know,
So,
whoever wants
yeah.
to.
I'll be
Carol.
glad to take that. So I think that it can be a struggle to be in a minority. Karina gave some statistics on women in engineering, and as an undergraduate at Virginia Tech, there were very few other women in my civil engineering program. But I mean, I have always just tried to do my best. I've always had this philosophy: I'm going to do my best, I'm going to put my head down, and I'm going to do my work. And that has served me in my education as well as my career. I will say that I probably didn't rely on some of the support systems that were out there as much as I should have. And I see that now with our women engineering at ODU. I see them participating in the Society of Women Engineers. I see them participating in Phi Sigma Rho. And I think it really enhances their education to have that peer group of people that they can talk to, because sometimes you will encounter maybe a situation where you're not being listened to, and you need to be able to figure out how you can navigate that in a professional way and still make your point. And so by having friends that you can go to and say, this situation happened to me, what do you think I should do? That's a great resource. So I think that you should seek out those opportunities in your college. But I also think hard work makes people rise to the top. And I think that's an important part of being a successful engineer, whether you're a female or a male.
I can add to that. So, can I? Okay,
Sure,
so
go ahead.
all I want to say is this should never be a question if it's anything more difficult because you are a woman in a group that might be more men or something like that, because especially in school. So I think being in school, it's one environment that should help you overcome any such feeling, because when you are in school, you'll be assigned to work on projects, on team assignments and stuff like that. So basically that's how I had in college. So I had to partner with colleagues and work on projects, on different assignments and stuff like that. And in doing that, the way you collaborate, basically you build in the mutual respect to each other. And I don't see in any way that the difference because of gender will appear. So working together, it will be something that will help you overcome any feeling of this type. And this starts in school, and all of you were in public school or other school where now groups are not separated as in the past between girls and boys. So most probably you work with boys on other assignments in high school. So it will be the same in school, in college, and that's how you develop the way you will work later in jobs with various partners.
Can I add?
Sure, go ahead, Bukitsa.
So I want to tell you something. When I was in middle school, my favorite thing was to play basketball all day long. So I would be spending time at our basketball course. You don't see me, but I'm 5'2" or 157 centimeters. So I'm pretty short, but I really loved basketball. So I would always go there and play with mostly boys. So basically, I kind of learned how to be in the environment. And many of my best friends were always boys. And then when I went to high school, there was 35 of us. There were only 2 girls. But I actually saw that my friendships are a little bit different, because when you're amongst the boys, there are different things that you talk about that matters. You know, what books you read, what music you like, you know, some different interests. And when so I would have some friends that are girls as well, but you know, it's all different environment. And I think both of these friendships are very valuable for anybody. And then when I went to university, I want to tell you a couple of things in data. So usually in mechanical engineering, we had a class of 410 students, and 15 were girls, which is 3.6%. So after first year, many students dropped, I think maybe 200, because we were like, in Serbia, it's free education. So many students would go there because they didn't want to serve military immediately. It was compulsory. So you know, many of them didn't really want to study that major. So after the first year, we ended up with having 7 female students. So half of them went to some different majors. And I just want to tell you, 5 of us have PhD in engineering and 2 others have masters in engineering. So in terms of excelling academically, what I've noticed that always in my elementary school, female was the best. In my high school, my other female student, she was the best student in the class. When we went to the university, all top students were female. So I would, in my environment, female students were rise academically very high. And maybe the first time I noticed that there is a difference was maybe when I was trying to look for jobs, and then where I'm from, we would have 1 year of paid maternity leave. So they were trying to say, okay, now when you start, if you go from it, they were mentioning that kind of thing. So I might say, but then I felt maybe later, you know, when you go for different jobs, being a female might be, or the only difference might be, what, do you want to have a job which is having 50% of travel, which many of engineering, some of the engineering jobs have that. So I think picking the right engineering job for you after graduation, what fits your style. So if you're planning to have a family or not, I think that matters. That's when I see that being a female engineer matters, because it relates to these things. But during the undergraduate studies, I would not see the difference other than being surrounded always with a bunch of people. In my case, way taller than you, so sometimes my neck would hurt. Nothing like that.
Thanks. There's a question that I'm going to be cheating and I'm going to take it because the question is, how big is the professional field for perhaps a chemical engineer? I'm a chemical engineer. I graduated from the Instituto Tecnológico de Chihuahua in Mexico. So I think I love chemical engineering, and I think chemical engineering is the best. My panelists will argue all differently, but chemical engineering has a large professional field. You can go directly to pure chemical engineering that can go into petrochemical engineering or mining. There's a lot of work into the environmental field. I did research in the biomedical field. The first biomedical engineers were coming out from chemical engineering departments, and also they're coming from electrical engineering for signals in the body. So I will say chemical engineering is the best, and there's a large field, professional field for chemical engineers. So I'm cheating on that question because I know that I can take it, but let me move to another question. Somebody is asking about how related are industrial and aerospace engineering, and to specialize in aerospace. Is it more advisable to study mechanical or industrial?
So
I have that take, but I guess I will take it for Bukitsa, yes.
Because I'm industrial engineer. So in terms of aerospace and industrial, there are 2 different ways in aerospace. One is who is designing these things. So that would mostly be aerospace engineers. So if you think about hydrodynamics, the airflow, the design of all the different parts of airplane, I would say that would be aerospace design world. But in terms of manufacturing, that would more be industrial engineering. So industrial engineers are the ones who are there in manufacturing, who are making sure that things are being done, and they're coordinating the layouts, the facilities, the assembly plans, the manufacturing plans, the quality control, and these kinds of things. So I would say what you like to do. So if you are more on the creative side, you want to do like design things and that kind of stuff, then I would say aerospace. But if you want, and if you have to be very, very good in math and sciences, and especially high levels of mathematics. And if you go to industrial engineer, you might be a person who likes to organize things, who like to see teamwork, you know, how to run different things, how to see that everything is coming to place. So I would say that's the main difference.
Anything else to add? I would like to add, like my minor is in industrial engineering. So I'm going to piggyback on what Dr. Ivanovich said. What do you like? So maybe you could do a mechanical or an aerospace engineering, and then specialization in industrial that will serve any of the engineering fields, because in any engineering field, there's manufacturing that is related to industrial engineering. So another question that is coming, and kind of Dr. Ivanovich touched on it. So if anybody else want to take it, how was it for you to face the world of work after graduating from college? Was it hard for you? Was it a good experience? So graduating from college and entering the work field, how was it?
I can answer that one from my experience. I did do a master's degree right after my bachelor's degree. So I went, straight through. I did kind of in 5 years. So I felt like I had a little more technical knowledge than entering the workplace than I would have had if I'd stopped just with my bachelor's degree. But I felt very comfortable going into the workplace. I felt very well prepared. I think there's obviously going to still be learning that you're going to need to do after you graduate. You're not going to know everything with engineering. Even still now, there's things I'm learning about the field that I'm in. So you want to be, prepared to keep learning throughout your career. But I felt like the program that I was in taught me a lot of skills that I needed when I graduated. In fact, you always hear students complaining about how college isn't like their future career. I actually found myself getting textbooks, getting notes from lectures, getting my old homeworks out and using them as a guide when I was at work. So it was very similar to what I was doing when I had my first job out of college. So I felt very well prepared, and I would encourage, you to do as well as you can in college, because there is a very direct correlation in engineering. It's not like some majors where you hear people say that, oh, well, I'm learning this, but I'm never going to use it. You really will use the skills that you learn in your workplace.
So Karina, if I could add to what Amy said, one way that you can ease that transition is taking internships in industry while you're in college. So if you work in industry every summer, you learn new skill sets, and you learn some of that professional skill sets that maybe you don't get taught in college. So I think that getting an internship and working when you're in college really is another way to help prepare you for when you do enter industry full time.
And I would like to add, there is also another pathway that, for example, when I was graduating, I was sure I'm going to my dad's company and I will go start working there. But then they invited me to start working in academia, an academic job. And when I started teaching, working with students, doing research, I don't know, it kind of mesmerizes me. And although I had industry experience, I really like the academic world as well. So that's also another career that it's also very common, as you can see here, and working in the academic world as a researcher.
Otilia, I don't know if you want to add anything.
I can add. I don't think my experience for this question it's relevant in a way, because when I graduated so basically I did my bachelor and the master in Romania in a program that it's similar with an accelerated master degree here. But at the end of that, I worked just for about a year, and then I started on an academic position. That was a period of time pretty strange for Romania, because was the transition between the communist time to the new regime. So that was a complicated time. But then when I moved here in US, I came to pursue a PhD, and now this was a different time in my life. So I was at a different age now. So the kids were coming. So basically I did a PhD. I started working on the PhD with a baby, and when I graduated, the second one was coming. At that point, when you are alone in a country, it's pretty hard to look for a job, right? So you need to take care of the baby. So I'm not sure how. I think this is still worth mentioning, because as women, a lot of us might get in this position, and is not think of it or not discuss of it. So what I want to say is, okay, so these were family issues that I encounter. However, I continue to work. So I didn't look for a full-time job when I graduated with a PhD here in US right away because of the family issues, but I continued to work part-time. So I did work part-time ever since I graduated with a PhD, right? But the fact is that I work in academia. So I was teaching part-time in a few institutions before I joined ODU. I started here at ODU also in part-time, and then I moved on the full-time position when basically I can balance the family and the full-time job. And these are things that other people might have encountered similarly, right? So it is the family choice that you will make, but keep in mind that if you do at least some part-time work, even when you face family issues or when your focus in life needs to be somewhere else, that will help you. So having something active for the full time and balancing the family and work, it will help then focus only to one of these aspects of your life. So that would be my advice.
Also, don't be afraid for you to be a head of a household, because that's also what happened with many of us. I had my kid 3 days after I defended my dissertation. So basically, I was the breadwinner for a while, and then my husband was the primary caregiver. So that's also happening in many families as well. So don't be afraid to be the one who is leading and, the one who is stepping into that role. We don't always have to be in the roles that society defines.
Thanks. So on my own experience, I want to piggyback on what Carol said, and I think your input is very important because yes, things have to be balanced. But in my case, my program where I graduated, it included, you were required to do an internship when you were at school. So I was fortunate enough that that company where I was doing an internship hired me. So I had a job right after college. So I graduated, and even before graduation, I was already working. So that was amazing. So do take the opportunities to do internships and other opportunities that are offered in your college. There's one question, maybe Carol, they're asking about opportunities in ODU for senior high school students and how they can approach it. I guess you can tell a little bit what we do. I mean, you already mentioned it on events for high school students.
So we have several events that high school students can attend. One is our First Fridays, which we've had to put on hold because of the current COVID situation. But normally that's the first Friday of every month. You can come and do a tour our engineering labs and see what type of research is being done here. As Vukitsa mentioned, we have the BLAST program here that you can apply for and come to. We also have Girls Night Out, which is celebrated during Engineers Week, which is in February. And that's an opportunity for you to come and do hands-on engineering activities and meet female engineering role models, engineering women that are working in engineering right now, and ask them any questions that you might have. So those are some of the main programs that we have. And then once you apply and are accepted to ODU, I mentioned the Early Engineering Advantage program that's also available to you. I think another just opportunity is just to come to the college and visit. If you call ahead and you want to really find out what your opportunities are at ODU, we're always willing to meet with students one-on-one who have a passion for engineering and are interested in Old Dominion University.
And another question, kind of also for high school students, any advice for high school students in what classes to take in order to major in an engineering field? I don't know if Carol or Otilia, because you've been program directors, if you can.
I'll be happy to answer that. So this is something that we few of us were talking a lot of times on how to reach more to high school and to guidance and counselors and give more advice of what is needed for college. And as a few of you mentioned before, of course, mathematics and science is what is at the core of engineering field. And I know the requirements for math and science in high school, and I know that the requirements for graduation are way below what you will need for math and science in college. And I really want to emphasize that it will be great if you take up calculus, including in high school, because and there are several reasons for that. So first of all, when you take it in high school, you take it at a different pace. You have a full year to work on a calculus class, whereas when you come to college, a more accelerated class you will take in 3 and something months, right? So it's way less time for you to basically build on that material. So high school will give you a different pace, more hands-on, more practice on the topics, and basically that slower pace will help you solidify that material. And also think of the cost. So when you are in high school, basically you register for the classes, you take them. When you come to college, you pay for them. Right, so taking them ahead in high school, it's a saving of time, and it's also a saving of money. It's since I advise students, I see a lot of time they are coming from high school, but they need to start with mathematics pre-calculus or before pre-calculus, some algebra classes. All those classes can be taken in high school. So if you come here and you start with algebra in mathematics, then you will spend at least a year or more just to get up to the levels to start engineering classes. So it will be excellent if you can come to college with calculus and at least one physics course. So you will take, I don't know if it transfer or not, if you will need to take physics you will need to take physics in college, but if you had the course in high school, it will make it easier because it's not an easy class. Right, so that's why I say it's very important to take the mathematics and at least some physics to have that flavor, to know what to expect, and to do it easier when you come to college.
And I know in my major in mechanical engineering technology, first MET class you will ever have in our department is computer solid modeling with Autodesk Inventor. And I know many high schools are offering Inventor classes. So I do have many students that are taking Inventor class. And now in Commonwealth of Virginia, they do have computer science classes. So if there's a computer science AP class, or if there is a cybersecurity class, I think these classes are very pertaining also to many engineering majors. But I agree, math is number one.
So those classes are excellent, as Vukica mentioned, because will help you. So you will those are not classes that transfer to college, but will help you do well in the classes at college. With mathematics, the most important thing is that you will not have to take them again when you start college if you come with that calculus.
Yeah, and I guess at ODU, I want to say, I don't know if Carol, you can also say on this, for math, we have math placement exams. So if you already were prepared in high school, you can take this math placement and you can place in good level of calculus to don't have to take those classes. So if you already took them in high school, you can be placed at the right level. So there's for physics or.
Yes, if you take calculus in high school and you take an AP exam and you pass the AP exam at the appropriate level, you can transfer that credit to the university and you don't have to take that class. And that's the same for physics or chemistry. I think the points that Dr. Jovanovic and Dr. Popescu have made are really important. The one thing that I see sometimes with students is that they do satisfy the high school math requirements before they get to their senior year, and then they take a year off, their senior year off, and they don't take any math. And I think that's the worst thing you can do. You just keep building those math skills to be a successful engineer. Thanks, Karina.
I just wanted to add really quickly, I did not take physics when I was in high school myself. For some reason, I was just more interested in biology and chemistry. And, don't let these things we're saying discourage you too much, because I still took physics when I got to college. And yes, it would have been easier on me if I had taken it in high school, but, I still made it through. And with, some hard work, I'm sure you could do that too. But yeah, I do think that, like was mentioned before, just having it at that slower pace in high school really helps. You don't have to go through the material quite as quickly as in college. And so anything that you can take in high school would certainly help your adjustment, I think.
So we have like 5 more minutes, and I have an easy question and a kind of hard question. So the easy one is, can women engineers work in NASA? I guess we'll all say yes. I have several colleagues that are working in NASA in Houston and in NASA here in Langley in Virginia, Hampton, Virginia. So yes, that one is an easy, I guess everybody will agree. But the hard one is, can you talk about money as a women engineer? I guess when I was preparing for this panel, I was seeing that here in the US, women earn 90 cents for every dollar. I mean, I guess in general, it's bad. Specific for women engineers is 90 cents per each dollar a male earns. But before opening to the panel, I will say negotiate. Always negotiate. You get as a salary what you negotiate. So don't settle. Do your research. What's the salary for that position that you are applying to or you're getting? And don't be afraid of negotiating your salary. So I want to open it to the panelists. I don't know who want to say or add anything to this.
I think many times when the salary are starting to be higher for males, or because there was a perception that male is the breadwinner, he's, gathering goods and, learning for the family and whatnot. And they would say, if you research about that topic. So I think the times are changing. There are more and more females who are actually the main breadwinner in their family. In my family, all three of us have more money than our husbands, even though some of our husbands are engineers. And I feel like I sometimes, maybe I'm thankful for my family that more raised me as a boy. And now if I see here in the US, what is, how you raise, like, what is the differences in between? I think like, don't be scared to speak up and don't be scared to look and to research. And then sometimes there's different applications people do to level their salaries or something. And if you figure out that yours is lower, like, I feel like maybe it's not the right place, maybe.
I guess there's opportunities for elementary age students. I guess Carol had mentioned them. If you would like to go over them again for elementary school, the events that we have.
So at Old Dominion University, we have a Girl Scout Day where you can come and earn a robotics badge or a badge for ODU engineering. And then we also have some summer camps. The Big Blue Camp, which is at Old Dominion University, has a week where they do engineering, a week where they do sciences, and they have other topics that they do there also. So we have those camps. And then we also work with some other programs to offer hands-on learning activities for elementary school students.
Cool, 2 more minutes. I guess maybe a lightning round or some quick answers about how to stay motivated when you're an engineering student, when it's hard. Any tips, or we can quickly say a tip to stay motivated when you are an engineering student?
I have something to say. So basically, I would say get engaged in something that you have passion at. For me, it was foreign languages. I love to speak foreign languages. And I went to 2 different internships. I don't know, at your college, do you have REYES-STEM? It's International Association for Exchange of Foreign. So you might go to a different country, experience something different, engage into different apprenticeship. And I would say, think one day at a time. There will be many chapters in your life. Don't get lost in the one you're in now. Smile, good things are about to happen. Follow your heart, breathe, live in the present, think outside the box. And the best time to start was yesterday. The next best time is now.
I think you need to create a community for yourself, a community of friends and colleagues that will support you along the way. And I think that can make a huge difference. So I would say get involved, no matter what your major is in college. Get involved with student groups, get involved with outreach, and use your time to create those relationships and supportive friendships.
And I would like to add, so what I would say is for you to keep in mind your main goal. So don't look at small achievements, look at the big goal that you have in your mind. So if a specific job or if a specific career is in your mind, keep that in mind and don't look at the little achievements along the path or a little hardships along the path. So for example, because I'm advising students, I see sometimes students coming to my office and say, oh, I cannot do this class, I cannot do that, I cannot work with this instructor or something like that. This is just like a one moment, 1 second in your career. Don't make any hardship to stop you. You just need to look, you need to overcome that, move on and continue your path. You need to keep that in mind.
I also think when academically, like speaking about hardships or struggles that you have in classes, no matter what your major is, I think you want to look for resources to help you. You don't have to take all of it on yourself. So like the other panelists were saying, like have a network, but like specifically, you know, when you feel stuck or frustrated, or I'm going to have to switch majors because I just can't, you know, do this class, reach out to your instructor, go to their office hours, look for, is there a graduate student that can help you that's assigned to the class? There's probably free tutoring at the library on campus. Make friends with the people in class. Some of my best friends even now came from my surveying class when I was a sophomore in college. You know, so look around to classmates that can help you, and you know, you don't have to deal with this hardship all on your own. You know, if you kind of look for resources to help you and build a community, then you can have some more support as you deal with challenges in your academic career.
Thanks, everyone. So it's 3:51 and we were supposed to end at 3:50. There are a couple of questions in the chat that we're going to follow up with them by email because we have your email. And I want to thank the panelists, but I want to thank all the people that are there listening to us and asking questions. So we really appreciate you spending these 50 minutes with us and asking questions. So thank you, everyone.